Hello, everybody. Tracy, Mrs. JDog Flanagan with you here today. I'm the co-founder and senior vice president of JDog Brands. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Tactical Treasures podcast, sponsored by the JDog Foundation. Our podcast gives the military community a voice in the veteran space to share their stories of service, how they continue to make a difference in civilian life, and they share with me a tactical treasure that has shaped their journey in their military career, business, or life. Today, I am honored to speak with Hugh Tychsen, who is a Marine Corps veteran who served in Iraq and Afghanistan and currently serves as program manager for Irreverent Warriors, a nationwide nonprofit dedicated to improving veteran mental health and preventing suicide through camaraderie, humor, and connection. Hugh has been in love with Irreverent Warriors since its beginning in 2015, when the movement was born within the 1st Marine Division at Camp Pendleton, California. Before leading IW, Hugh built a diverse career spanning product strategy, leadership, and broadcasting, including time as a radio DJ. His unique background allows him to connect deeply with veterans from all walks of life while steering IW's mission with creativity and authenticity. Hello, Hugh. Thank you for joining me on Tactical Treasures podcast, and thank you so much for your service to our country.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Honor is mine. We have a lot to talk about today. I'm very excited for our discussion. I do have a couple questions for you before we dive into all of that. What inspired you to join the Marine Corps?
That's a great point. I mean, a part of it was being a rebel, so rebellion. I'm from a military family, but it was all Army and Air Force. And so I didn't want to do what they did, but clearly I was still joining the military. But in my own mind, I was being a rebel. I wanted to do something hard. I wanted to do something more infantry based. And I wasn't super excited about jumping out of planes. I wasn't super excited about scuba. I was more excited in gun trucks, machine guns, and radios and things like that. So the Marine Corps seemed like a really good fit for me. And that's what I wanted to do since I was a little kid. I mean, I was one of those 80s kids that grew up playing G.I. Joes and running around wearing my grandfather and my dad's old military uniforms. And it felt like a calling.
I love it. That's great. Is there a particular aspect or moment from your service that stood out as being impactful in a positive way for you?
So many. I would say, one of the stories from Iraq that sticks with me the most is when I was on my first tour in Iraq. I was a squad leader at a vehicle checkpoint on the west side of Fallujah, outside of a village called Habaniya. And one day I was standing out on the street with my fire team, and a local Iraqi boy that I befriended because we'd been in that area for a couple of months operating and patrolling and running a vehicle checkpoint. He came up to me and seemed different than usual. His disposition was completely shifted from the happy-go-lucky kid that he normally was. And he warned me that there was an ambush ahead of us on the other side of the bridge. And I took it very seriously. I radioed it in. I was given a lot of skepticism on the other end of the radio. Like, why would we trust this child?
Right.
But I just knew in every part of me that this was a guardian angel moment, if you will. And turned out it was an ambush. The ambush went off. A bunch of Iraqi security forces and Iraqi civilians were killed, and my squad got out safe. We reacted and we were able to handle the situation immediately. But the ambush had been designed to hurt and kill myself and my guys. So,
right.
It's those relationships with people, the unexpected people that you show kindness to in life, uh, can pay enormous, enormous dividends. In that case, it saved my life. So,
Wow.
uh, there were so many lessons in my military service that helped me become a better version of myself if I was paying attention. If I was paying attention. And I even remember after this incident, writing it off and disregarding it and just being like, oh, we got lucky, guys. Yay, yay, And it took years later in contemplation and reflection time, and hiking alone in nature and kind of meditating on these different things for the full picture to come into play and for the realization
Mm.
of what actually occurred. So uh, I think spending time after service reflecting on both the good and bad and realizing there's a silver lining in every bad situation, because that was a pretty gruesome situation, the things that occurred immediately following that incident. um, and so I could focus on that, or I could focus on that silver lining of that kindness in that relationship, and the love that I showed to that boy uh, ended up paying off, and him caring so much about me that he was going against his tribe. Essentially, this was a
Right.
hostile area. We were in a
Yeah.
very, very hostile area, in a hostile situation. So, uh, yeah,
Wow.
lots of little things like that. But I wouldn't say in the moment I was like, oh yeah, this is exactly what happened. It took years later for me to unpack that, and journaling
Wow.
helped a ton. So,
Yeah. What an amazing moment. You're right. He risked so much to, warn you because he cared. That is a yeah, that's a God moment, God angel moment. That is amazing. Thank you for sharing that story. Wow. So, you get out of the Marine Corps, and I believe your transition, you went into corporate America. Talk to me just
yes.
a little bit about how that went.
So I was very ready to put my military career behind me. I was very ready to become a successful corporate executive, or work my way to the top, and now I'm going to go make a ton of money, right? Because I was in the military and I was living a life of service, and I didn't really care so much about money. But now that chapter is behind me, I want to go and be uber successful. All the things that society paints for you as what is success, right?
Oh, sure.
Financial success, power, title, prestige, all these different things, right? So I went and got my MBA from Washington University in St. Louis with an emphasis in finance. And when you graduate from one of the top MBA programs, you are really gassed up. I mean, it's almost like when you first graduate from boot camp, they're like, you're the smartest, you're the best and the brightest, you're going to go take over the world.
Right.
And so I went to work in the pharmaceutical world, pharmaceutical benefit management at Express Scripts, very typical kind of post MBA job. I got a postgraduate certificate from MIT in artificial intelligence, and I was doing a lot of business strategy stuff. And yeah, I mean, I started working my way up the corporate ladder and just wearing the suit and tie, and making the boardroom presentations, the PowerPoint, becoming an expert in all the different corporate success metrics in order to work my way up, and did a good job working my way up. I know it sounds like I'm being callous or judgmental about it, but looking back, it wasn't me being my authentic self, in my opinion.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, I can't imagine you in a suit and tie and I mean, you look very much you and yourself and and what you're doing now, you wear this very well. But so how did you find IW? I know that you've been involved with IW in some sense since its inception in 2015. So I would
Yes.
love to know that journey.
Yes. Yeah. So IW was founded in 2015 in the 1st Marine Division at Camp Pendleton, California, by Captain Donnie O'Malley from 5th Marine Regiment. And what was being experienced in 2015 in the 1st Marine Division is very important to understand. There was a rash of suicides. There were a lot of veterans that had done multiple tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, and they had been getting off of active duty and spiraling. Sense of purpose had taken a hit. Their sense of adrenaline and survival. But even more importantly, and this is something IW works to address, is that sense of platoon, that emotional safety net had been removed from a lot of these guys. And in their first couple of years, which the first 2 years off of active duty is when the greatest risk of suicide occurs. And all these guys, combat decorated, really well-known, beloved guys, were taking their own lives. And that same year, the VA came out with their statistic that on average, 22 veterans die per day by suicide. And Captain O'Malley said, we're not doing enough. The Marine Corps active duty is not doing enough. The Department of the VA is not doing enough. So we're going to bring awareness to this, and we're going to help rebuild that sense of platoon, that emotional safety net that a lot of folks don't even realize. This is this invisible thing that's there that you don't even acknowledge until you don't have it. And then you don't even know what you're missing. That's one of the scariest aspects of transition. And I experienced that even though I was climbing this corporate ladder of success and keeping myself super busy, which is a healthy thing to do. Mm-hmm. I was experiencing a lot of spiraling with my own mental health. But in 2015, when Captain O'Malley was in Wounded Warrior Battalion East, he was in Wounded Warrior Battalion West, and he started IW. I was attached to Wounded Warrior Battalion East, and I was paying attention on Facebook to what he was doing, what was going on, because I deployed multiple times with the 1st Marine Division and was very in the loop on that group of guys. And suicide was very near and dear to my heart, because not only have I had my own struggles with suicidal ideation, I had 4 friends from my first platoon die by suicide. And we lost 1 member of that platoon killed in action. We had a couple of guys wounded, and we had 4 die by suicide. So when I got home from my last combat tour in Afghanistan, I recognized that there was a bigger threat to my guys than the Taliban. And that threat is suicide. And Lance Corporal Toma, Corporal Maxwell, Sergeant Wyatt, Gunnery Sergeant Eiting, these are guys that I still think about all the time, and I love and respect and miss all the time. And so that weighed on me a lot. And when Captain O'Malley stood up Irreverent Warriors and started sharing things on Facebook, I messaged back and forth with him about starting up something myself. And this was before IW had become a grassroots movement.
Right.
And he was encouraging people, start your own veteran nonprofits, which I ended up doing to bring veterans together in St. Louis, Missouri. And he did the first event, the first ruck hike out there in California, and then it just spread like wildfire. Over the course of a year, there were grassroots hikes that stood up everywhere. I ended up doing something that was more around get-togethers and barbecues than hikes. For whatever reason, that was just the direction I went. But at a certain point, I got called into IW.
Yeah, that was going to be that's a great segue into my next question. So now you're the program manager. Hello, viewers and listeners. The JDog Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit whose mission is to prevent veteran suicide and heal veterans' mental health and PTS. 100% of all proceeds goes directly to the organizations we are partnered with. If you go to jdogfoundation.org, you can learn more about our mission, donate, and if you are in need of help, please dial 988. Our motto, saving lives one veteran at a time. Check us out, jdogfoundation.org. So what do your duties look like at being at kind of the helm of Irreverent Warriors?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not super interesting what I do day to day. It's mostly spreadsheets. It's mostly spreadsheets, honestly, but I get to guide this organization. As a 501c3 nonprofit, I work for the mission. We all
Mhm.
work for the mission, right? And so we've got 200 volunteers that run all the chapters around the United States. And then we have a tiny, tiny headquarters staff. There's only three of us right now. There's only three folks that are full-time paid staff. And what we do is we make sure that the insurance, compliance, accounting, taxes, the chapters are funded and able to access their funds, that their budgets are pre-approved, and that they have the approvals that they need. We assist with grant writing. We just do a lot of different administrative tasks to empower those on the front lines of this veteran suicide problem. And that's our local volunteer leaders. So each city has a chapter that is led by a local volunteer leader that has stepped up and raised their hand and said, hey, I'm willing to do this, and host events that bring veterans who are struggling in isolation together.
Mhm.
And then they have a little leadership team of 3 or 4 folks that also help them so they can put these events on. It's
Right.
all event based, and it's all about bringing people together physically.
Mhm.
So what we like to do is try to do quarterly events in each city where we're bringing people together and helping them rebuild that emotional safety net, helping them reestablish friendships and relationships locally with people that truly understand not only the veteran situation, but the veteran mental health struggles and suicidal ideation.
Right.
And it's like, I've been there, I've experienced it. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to take you to the hospital. I'm not going to freak out. I love you. I've been there, and I'm now thriving. And it's your own path forward. Like, you are going to work your way out of this, and you are going to find the answers for you, and only you can heal you. Because I feel like our culture has told us the next diagnosis, the next pill, the next shot of liquor, the next opioid, whatever, it's all going to solve your problems. Well, a lot of us tried all of that, and we ended
Right.
up finding out that the truth was in here. The
Mhm.
answer was in here. But it's a lot of times you need help accessing that, because one thing trauma does is it splinters you almost. It splinters your heart or your essence of yourself from yourself. And so you have to reconnect and reintegrate those aspects of self. And that can be really daunting and really difficult because the emotions
Sure.
that come up are overwhelming. And so
Yeah.
we just try to set the example, and we try to say, hey, we've all been there, and you can do it too.
Right. Right. And you do this by hikes. So you have to be a veteran or active duty, at least through boot camp, in
Yes.
order to hike. And
Yes.
then you rely on volunteers, civilians, to help with safety vehicles and registration and that whole thing. Correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, it takes both. It takes
Hmm.
the civilians and the veterans, like, all coming together and working together. Yeah, I mean, the
Right.
civilian volunteers are really the backbone of what pulls these events off.
Right. Right. Yeah. And, the data is amazing. I mean, you have 100,000 alumni, annual attendance of 15,000, and your 2025 data says that 57% of veterans reported their suicidal ideation fully stopped or significantly improved after attending IW events. That that's gigantic, right? That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you see similar, I think, outcomes with Alcoholics Anonymous, AA.
Hmm.
And you can. There are a lot of alcoholics that I'm sure go to psychiatrists and psychologists and go to meet a stranger to do and get to know a stranger to do talk therapy, and that can be very helpful for some people. But for a lot of folks, it's that the peer relationship, the peer help. I have a family member, one of my siblings, who went to Alcoholics Anonymous and found so much more benefit from a community of people that have been there, that have
Right.
lived
Hmm.
that have experienced all the negative emotional aspects around that use of alcohol. And for
Hmm.
us, it's not focused necessarily on alcohol, although we do have an IW Recover group that is that.
Mm-hmm.
What we focus on is suicidal ideation and struggling
Right.
with panic attacks and feelings of despair and hopelessness. We've
Right.
all been there. And so
Mm-hmm.
just being able to say, we truly get it, for my sibling, being able to have a group of folks that truly understand the problem and are now thriving was a
Right.
completely different, it like changed his DNA to being like,
Sure.
I used to go talk to this expert and it did help me reframe some things, but this group gives me true inspiration and hope. Right.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I think you see similar data outcomes with AA and different peer groups like that, but that's definitely what we are. We are a peer support group. And I think
Right.
that's what there's a gap in care. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of times you go to a doctor and, they have pharmaceutical options, they've got talk therapy options,
Mm-hmm.
but they can't help you rebuild your platoon,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But you're going to them with these mental health problems, and there's just a gap in care, and we're able to help, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. It's about finding your tribe again, right?
Absolutely.
And a tribe that's like-minded too. That speaks volumes, I think. Like what you said. Your tribe has been there. They've gone through what you've gone through, or they're going through it alongside with you, and you help each other. I love it.
Right.
Um,
And what I love about IW is you don't have to go to a hike and be like, I'm going to find this exact tribe as my tribe.
right.
Within the tribe, there's tribes. Within the
Mm-hmm.
tribe, there's a skateboarding tribe, there's a cooking tribe, there's a weightlifting competition tribe, there's a IW recover tribe. There's all these little tribes within the
Mm-hmm.
tribe. There's a skydiving tribe. There's a
I love
snowboarding
it.
tribe. There's all these
Yeah.
little groups that end up forming out of this
Right.
with shared sense of interests, purpose, and camaraderie. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's really where the magic happens is inside
Yeah.
the smaller tribes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I love it. That's great. Um, how many chapters do you think you have across the country?
Around 100.
Wow. That's amazing. So, if you're a veteran, I know some veterans actually travel, for hikes and stuff.
Yes.
So like if you're living in like St. Louis and you're part of an IW chapter there, but there's a hike going on down in Tampa, Florida, you can hop and get your way to Tampa, Florida and join that hike, correct?
Yes, that's one of the most exhilarating parts. So I'm experiencing that this weekend
Okay.
because we don't necessarily have the funding or budget to be able to pay for our staff members to attend every hike. So I gotta make my way down to Florida on my own. Uh, but if you get in the St. Louis local IW group and say, "Hey, the hike I'm going to is the Florida Keys hike this weekend," and you get in there and you say, "Hey, I'm going to the Florida. I want to go to the Florida Keys hike. Is anybody down?" And then people will put together these road trip groups, and
Okay.
then they'll split the cost of the motels going down and back and make it a lot cheaper for everybody. And it's fun and exciting. It's exactly what
Mhm.
we used to do in the military. I mean, when you were in the barracks in the Marine Corps and you came back out of the field with an infantry battalion and they cut you loose for a 3-day liberty, it was a scramble to be like, a guy would raise his hand in the parking lot and say, "Hey, I got room for 3. You're going to have to pay for, you're going to have to pay one night at a motel and you're going to have to pay for my club entry, to 2 nightclubs." And then, 3 guys would be like,
Right.
"I'm going with you." And it would
Right.
just be this, I don't know, the level of trust and the level of camaraderie and the level of
Mhm.
kind of friendliness, uh, it brings back a little bit of that because it can be cool to just say, "Hey, let's go on a road trip with a bunch of folks we barely know," but they're all open minded and they're all fun and
Right.
they're all friendly and they're all outgoing and they all care about one another.
Yeah. And I think there's a trust factor. You're veterans, you know what I mean? So that trust is already built in, I love that. That's really great. And I guess you're talking about the Silkies and Sequins hike going on in Key West or down in Florida. Is that?
Yes, the theme this year is something like that. I'm trying
Oh,
to
okay.
remember. I have to pack tonight, so that's a really good. Yeah, see, this is part of the process. It's
Right. Sure.
figuring all this out. It's kind of exciting.
I love
And
it.
also this weekend is the big San Antonio hike, and that is Christmas in Texas. That is like a Santa themed hike, so that's going to be pretty cool.
Oh, wow. That's really neat. I love the theme hikes. That's awesome.
Yes.
Um, so, this has been amazing. I love everything that you shared, and I love IW. JDog here. We love IW. We support you guys. And
Yes, we're very grateful.
yeah, we have our fundraiser going on right now. And so we're excited to be partnered with you guys. Um, but Hugh, this is the Tactical Treasures podcast. So we've come to the time where I have to ask you, what is your tactical treasure that you would like to share with us today?
Through all my military experience and my experience now and working with veterans that are such wonderful humans, but so many of us struggle in so many different ways, is that through all of that, what I ended up learning was I had I had allowed an armor to be built around my heart throughout the course of my life, probably starting at the age of 6 or 7 and then working my way all the way until I was 40. And I finally recognized during COVID that I needed to address it. And I needed to
Mhm.
start doing things to remove those pieces of armor because the armor was built with good intent to protect me, to keep
Mhm.
me safe.
Yeah.
But I don't need that anymore. I'm strong. I'm courageous. I'm loving. I'm kind. And I don't need to be protected. And so being able to take that armor apart one piece at a time it's been honestly just a magical journey. And IW has helped me a ton with that. And the Marine Corps helped me a ton with that. Although it helped me build it, it
Hmm.
helped me recognize why I needed it. And it gave me the courage to go back to my essence of who I truly am. And that is I just have like a heart, like I just have this giant heart that I wasn't even aware of. But once I started getting back to it and recognizing what it was and how powerful it was, it's really changed the way I view the world. And
Wow.
yeah, that's what comes to mind for me.
Wow. That is an amazing tactical treasure. I love that. And I love how the Marine Corps helped you build it, but helped you have the courage to unwrap it and peel it off. I love it. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That's how special. So I would ask you a couple questions as we wrap up our time here. Any advice for, fellow veterans struggling post service, and how we know how I think IW can help with that, but maybe you could sort of uh, let us know on a broader scale what that looks like.
Absolutely. I think I would encourage people to follow their heart, to try to get back to who they were pre-service, and maybe even earlier than that, maybe even childhood. Um, the last time you really experienced joy on a regular basis, and if not, just thinking about what does joy look like in your life now. I would think that you don't have to come to IW. IW is wonderful. IW is awesome. I want everybody to experience, some of the healing I have, but at the same time, do you follow your heart, follow your
Mm.
inner guidance. And if you go to if you seek outside help for mental health, that's awesome. I did that. I did that a ton for a lot of years. Talk therapy and pharmaceuticals are the main things that will be pushed to you. Maybe they work, maybe they help you. It just didn't really end up working out very well for me. But I would say, rebuilding tribe is extremely important. There's Dr. Joyner from FSU, one of the famous experts on veteran suicide, has consulted us on some of our work. And he has an interpersonal theory of suicide. And that is that there's a formula, which is a lack of belonging. Like I said, when you lose that
Right.
platoon, you can
Sure.
lose that lack of belonging if you're not working to rebuild it. And you can rebuild it at the gym, you can rebuild it at your church. I mean, you can rebuild it wherever you want. But if you have a lack of belonging, you don't feel like you're understood by society, you don't feel like you fit in. And then there's another aspect of the formula, which is perceived burden. And perceived burden is, hey, not just that I'm a burden, but that people would be better off without me because I'm so much of a burden. And that's some of that negative spiraling that can occur and blow things way out of proportion, which
Mm-hmm.
um, personally I was very good at doing. And then
Mm-hmm.
you add in then the fearlessness of pain or injury, which a lot of veterans, especially those in more combat MOSs, have that. Then you have this formula. So just knowing the formula and being aware when you start to see it arise in others, being aware when you start to see it arise in yourself. What helps with the sense of burden is to be of service, community service, helping and mentoring others, befriending others, being helpful in general, just looking around you when you're at the playground and saying, how can I help somebody? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how can I
Right.
help somebody on the street? How, just thinking outside of yourself, and of course, gratitude practices are very important. But I would say you don't have to come to IW. We'd love to have you, but follow your heart, create a platoon environment or a squad or a fire team wherever you go. Try to create a sense of community. Try to be of service, and everything naturally will start unfolding, in my opinion.
Yeah. I love that. That's great advice. And yeah, I mean, I think, when we kind of stop thinking of ourselves and thinking of other people, I think acts of service can be very effective mentally, I think. So great advice. Great advice. Um, Before we go, can you tell us where people can find and connect with you and how they can find out more information on IW chapters in their area and how to connect to get involved, even for volunteers too. Like if there's civilians that say, "Hey, I would like to be involved," how can they do that?
Absolutely. Irreverentwarriors.org. Irreverentwarriors.org has all of our events where you can sign up. And for any event, you can sign up as a volunteer or a veteran attendee
Okay.
or active duty, guard or reserve. So that's the best place to go is irreverentwarriors.org to connect with us. I'm not good at social media. I'm pretty terrible at social media, to be honest with you. So I would go to follow us or follow our group and what we're up to, because it truly is it is an incredible team, and I'm just here to support them with spreadsheets. And the
Spreadsheet guy. Okay.
yeah, but Irreverent Warriors on all social media platforms. Follow us on whatever your natural social media platform is, and it's all there. If you just want to follow our blogs and our news, you can go to that on irreverentwarriors.org.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that information. We'll be sure to get the word out. Hugh, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. And thank you for telling us all the great stuff that's going on at IW. You guys are doing awesome work.
Thanks, Tracy. Thanks so much. It was great talking to you. It's always good to see you, and thanks for having me on.
Hello, viewers and listeners. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Tactical Treasures Podcast. We've just finished up a very enlightening conversation with Hugh Tychsen, who is a Marine Corps veteran who served in Iraq and Afghanistan and currently serves as a program manager for Irreverent Warriors. The mission of IW is to bring veterans together using humor and camaraderie to improve mental health and prevent veteran suicide, and to unite the veteran community and drive a healthy culture within its members. Through creative engagements, events, and strong veteran-based support networks, IW is the catalyst for improving the veteran outlook. IW prevents veteran suicide by support and care and knows that the best support network for veterans is other veterans by bringing a community of warriors together through therapeutic events across the country. IW also works with other veteran organizations who provide services such as job placement, training, housing, service dogs, and more. The connections and bonds made at the IW events allow veterans to create their own support network, solving the most crucial issue contributing to veteran suicide: isolation. To learn more and find a hike in your area, go to irreverentwarriors.org. And irreverent is spelled IRREVERENT. Thank you for tuning in. You can find Tactical Treasures Podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms. American Grit on our website, tacticaltreasurespodcast.com, as well as our dedicated YouTube channel. We're now airing on Reese Across America Radio on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern and Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern. You can also find Reese Across America Radio on the iHeartRadio app, the Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app. We're also proud to share that our JDog Foundation is a Reese Across America sponsorship group. For each $17 Veterans Wreath that you sponsor, $5 will go back to the JDog Foundation, whose mission is to prevent veteran suicide and heal veterans' mental health and PTS. You can donate right now at reaseacrossamerica.org/JDog. Again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again on another podcast real soon. Bye-bye now.